You know what? I have a hunch as I'm looking at you that this is not just some ordinary Saturday or ordinary day. So what is today? So what happens when we think about the 4th of July? Anything special on the 4th of July that you like to do?
Well, today my grandpa's birthday, my other grandpa's birthday.
This is kind of interesting, everybody. Her other grandfather is a deacon. Yeah, I mean an ordained deacon, a deacon, vocational deacon in the cathedral over there in Dallas where you go, right? Yep. And here I am with you, and I think you also have a cousin who's a priest. So you've got a bishop, a priest, and a deacon in your family. Holy smokes, we got to work on some monks and nuns pretty soon. But anyway, we are ready on the 4th of July, sometimes called Independence Day, for us to be able to look at the next story from Father Homer Rogers, a collection of bedtime Bible stories for children. Are you getting a little bit hot today?
Yeah.
Feel like taking your hat off? It's okay. I might do the same thing. It's just people get scared when they see how much hair I've lost. So is that okay? All right. So let's see what we've got here. We are going to look at something today that is called the Big Break. Ready? The Big Break. Let's back up a bit and look again at the Passover. Remember Passover, we talked a little bit about that feast. For this was to become the great religious feast of the Jewish people, for Christians too, because we've always believed that Jesus was the Passover sacrifice for the whole world. It began with the last and most terrible of the plagues. You remember the other plagues last week? There's some really bad plagues, including frogs and boils. You remember them? Yikes. So now, this is the most terrible of the plagues, which God visited on the Egyptians when Pharaoh refused to let the children of Israel go free from their slavery in Egypt. Moses was warned that on a certain night the Lord would go through the land of Egypt and he would smite. You know what the word smite means? Yeah. He would smite all the firstborn from the highest to the lowest, both of man and beast, and destroy them. Moses instructed the Israelites to take a lamb and sacrifice it and sprinkle the blood of the sacrifice on the door frame of the house. Yeah. And when the angel of the Lord came through, he would pass over the houses. That's where you get that word Passover. Pass over the houses with the blood sprinkled on the doorpost and not destroy the firstborn in any of their houses. Yep. You don't like the word blood?
No.
Oh my goodness, why is that? Is it kind of scary? Oh, I get it. I understand that. Well, look at it this way. Blood could be scary, but if somebody really needs a blood transfusion, they need blood, it's a real big help. So think of it that way too, okay? And then also think about the fact that Jesus is the Lamb of God. And at Mass on Sunday, we say the body and blood. We say the blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. So think about that. Okay. Now the Jews were supposed to roast the lamb and eat it all up. I mean, like eat it all up. And if any part were left over, it should be totally destroyed by burning. They were to eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs once they were all packed, ready to go, and dressed in their traveling clothes. They were to do this every year forever as a reminder to their children's grandchildren, and their grandchildren, that they had once been slaves to the Egyptians, but had been rescued from slavery by the Lord. You remember about the slave business, how they were working pretty hard building some things. The Jewish people did as Moses commanded them, and even went out and borrowed a lot of valuable stuff from their Egyptian neighbors. which they didn't bother to return when they set out on the journey. And that seems kind of like stealing, but after all, they'd been slaves to the Egyptians, so I guess the Egyptians owed them something, right? Okay, you can pick that. Go ahead. Go ahead and get that. What color is it? Maybe I'll remind you of the blood. What do you think? Yeah, maybe. So, the Jewish people did exactly as Moses commanded them, and they packed up the bones of old Joseph and took them with them to bury properly in the Holy Land, to which God was leading them. In the dead of night, the Jews set out, and the whole lot of them, and lo and behold, a huge column of fire appeared way out ahead of them to lead them and show them the way. I mean, this is before fireworks, Betty. Yeah. And when daylight came, the column of fire became a column of smoke. Moses said to them, just keep heading in the direction of that column of fire and smoke, because that's the Lord showing us the way to go. The next morning, while the Egyptians were moaning and weeping, lamenting over the fact that the firstborn in every family was dead, and the undertakers were calling in extra help, and the grave diggers were, working overtime, somebody came into Pharaoh and told him that the Jews were gone, and about how before they left they had borrowed from their neighbors nearly everything they could get their hands on. Old Pharaoh was near to burst a blood vessel from rage at this news. So he ordered out his army, and he took out after the Jews with blood in his eye. Boy, he was so mad, he was fit to be tied. The Jews had a good head start, but they were mostly walking, and all their baggage and their cattle, and some of them were pushing baby carriages, so they couldn't travel very fast. The first thing you know, they saw the Egyptian army coming way off in the distance, and they began to moan and groan and fuss at Moses and say, now look at the mess we're in. Why didn't you let well enough alone? Why did you have to talk us into trying to escape? It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse by the side of the road. What's a corpse? Yeah, that's right. About that time, the Jews who were in front of the procession sent word back that really threw the whole bunch into a panic. They'd come to the Red Sea, and there wasn't even a rowboat in the whole crowd. With Pharaoh's army on their heels and the Red Sea in front of them, I guess they felt like a nut in a nutcracker. I wonder what a nut in a nutcracker feels like. I would guess any moment it thinks, here it comes. And it looked there for a minute like Moses was going to be mobbed. Moses, however, was calm as could be and didn't let on like he was the least bit worried. He told them, relax, take it easy. If God said for us to leave Egypt, it's up to him to get us out of this fix. I'll just pray to him and he'll take care of it. You'll see. And sure enough, Moses prayed, and the pillar of cloud whipped around behind the Jews and stopped right in front of the Egyptian army. And it became so dark and foggy, the Egyptians couldn't see their hands in front of their face. Pharaoh called halt and said, we'll camp here until the weather clears. After all, the Jews are stopped by the sea and can't go anywhere. This gave the Jews time for Moses to whip up another of his famous miracles. He took his magic staff, remember his magic staff?
And threw it on the ground, and it turned into a snake.
That's right, that's the same one, but this time, something different happened. He took out his magic staff and said the appropriate words, and we don't know what those words were, but the water of the Red Sea parted. I mean, this sea parted, and a broad, dry, sandy patch opened up right through the sea. Moses organized the Jews and told them, get moving quickly before the bottom of the sea, because he knew that he had only a few minutes, and boy, it was spooky walking on it, and the water looming up overhead on either side of them, kind of like walls of a canyon. Well, pretty soon all the Jews had crossed the sea on the dry land, and the cloud lifted and went around in front of them again. Pharaoh was sure surprised to see a path through the sea, and the Jews all safely out on the other side. You have to give him credit for courage. He yelled, "Forward! Charge!" and spurred his horse right onto the path through the sea, followed by his cavalry and chariots and all the rest of his army. Once again, the Jews on the other side got into a panic. Show me what it looks like if somebody's in a panic. See? That's right. Now that is a panic. And they began to fuss and complain. How do people act when they're fussing and complaining? That's right. I think that's right. Oh, absolutely. Not in our family, but I get it. But Moses was equal to that. He stretched out his staff toward the onrushing Egyptians, and the walled up water suddenly let go and rushed back together again. And guess what? All the Egyptians drowned. Yep. Whoa, said the Jews. That was a close one. But they were relieved and happy as a kid at Christmas. They even composed a famous song about it, which is written in the 15th chapter of the book of Exodus. The Jews started off again more in their journey, but their troubles were not over by a long shot. They ran out of water right away, and then they came to the oasis called Mara and found plenty of water, but it was so bitter that they couldn't drink it. Imagine that. I guess that's like going over trying to drink water out of a swimming pool, huh? Not a good idea. So God showed Moses a certain shrub that grew in the desert and told him to cut off some of the branches and seep them in the water.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
if somebody has a special, just like fresh water, well, then maybe.
Maybe. Well, have you ever been in a really freshwater pool? Oh my goodness. After several days, it's not so fresh anymore. Yeah. So that's why I have to have this taken care of so that when you come to go swimming, it's nice and safe for you. But please don't drink the water.
Never.
Never. Because then what happened is when they couldn't drink the water there in Mara, then Moses told the people, see if you just trust God and obey him, and he'll take care of you all right every single time, because he knew that it would become sweet, because that's what was promised. So after a while, they journeyed on, and pretty soon they ran out of food. And once more, they complained to Moses. The Jews were great complainers. They even said they wished they had never left Egypt. At least there they had enough to eat, even if they were slaves and had to work hard all day. I guess it is kind of difficult sometimes when you're in real trouble to believe that God can take care of you. And it looked for a while as if they were going to starve to death. But God and Moses were a great team. It seemed to be a great team as long as you listen to God. That very night, flocks of quail. Would you pretend you're like a bird? Like, yeah. Because what do we have? We usually have birds here, don't we? I don't see Donald and Daisy Duck in the pool today.
You can, if they come, you probably see it.
Yeah, we'll make sure. That's right. You're telling everybody if they come. Will you let them know if they come? Okay. But anyway, these were quails, which were flying around, and they landed right in the middle of the camp. And the Jews feasted on the quail. Do you know what that means?
Yeah,
Yeah, ate them. Yeah. Do not tell Jill, our bird, or Donald and Daisy Duck about that, okay?
yes.
I don't want to scare them when we get our forks out. So, and this happened night after night. But the most strange and remarkable thing was the manna. I know, you've never heard of manna? I want to tell you about it. During the night, there was a heavy dew. And when the dew evaporated all over the ground, they saw small white things like the small seeds of a plant. Moses told them to gather it up and eat it. And it tasted delicious, just like a sugar cookie. But they had to gather it up before it got too hot. For by the time the sun was hot and high, the manna melted. Each man was to gather just enough for himself and for his family for one day. But if they got greedy, or they didn't trust God to provide their daily bread tomorrow and gathered up enough for 2 days, what was left over from the first day would spoil by the morning. Except on the 6th day of the week, they were to gather 2 days' supply so that they wouldn't have to work on the Sabbath. On that day, the extra stuff didn't spoil. And God didn't even send any manna on the Sabbath. See, he had to teach them how to keep the Lord's day. Those that hadn't believed Moses and gathered 2 days' supply in the 6th day went out on the 7th day. They didn't find any manna, so they had to go hungry that day. Moses said to them, "How many times do I have to tell you before you'll believe that God is perfectly capable of taking care of you?" Do you know that, Betty? He's very capable of taking care of us, isn't he? Because he loves us so much. And they all felt foolish, and they said, "How stupid can you get?" And how does a person look when they feel stupid? What do they look like when they feel stupid?
That's how I look.
Well, you know, I get it. You know, I don't want to say that's a stupid look, but I know what you mean. And they felt foolish and said, "How stupid can you get?" Moses replied, "Pretty stupid, apparently." They had enough bread and quail meat, but they soon ran out of water once more. And again they began to complain and say they wished they'd remained as slaves in Egypt. I mean, it's a little bit, you never do this to me, but it's a little bit like, "Papa, I'm thirsty. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, get me something to eat. Oh, get me something to drink."
I would probably do
Would you do that? Okay, well, that's right.
like, I want bread. That's what
I know. Do we try to take care of it? I know it.
I like.
Well, you know, the other thing is you have to remember, you're part Italian. Yeah. And one of the ways in which Italian people show love is with food and drink. So you come from a good tradition of people offering food as a way of saying, "I love you." Moses was disgusted with them, and looked like for a while they were going to lynch Moses. They were at a place called Horeb. And Moses called all the Jews together and took his miraculous staff, that same rod that had turned into a snake, and he had used to work his miracles in Egypt, and he drew back and whacked his rod against a big rock sticking out of the side of the cliff, and the rock split wide open, and guess what? Spring of water. Fresh water. Yeah, gushed up. Show me again how water looks like it's gushing out. That's good. Very good. Moses pointed to the water and he said to the Jews, "Now when you want water, just come up real polite and ask me for some. Don't go off and grumble and fuss and complain against God." Well, sir, it wasn't long until they ran into another kind of trouble. They met up with a hostile tribe, the Amalekites. Okay, can you say that? Amalekites. That's right. Do you have any Amalekites living in your neighborhood?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, I don't think you do. But they attacked them, whooping and hollering and threatened. What's whooping and hollering sound like? Yeah, so they were. And the Jews had to fight for their lives. Moses went a little way apart and he prayed. As long as he kept on praying, the Jews were winning. But if he got tired and stopped praying, the Amalekites started winning. The Jews used to pray standing up with their arms stretched up toward heaven. And Moses' arms got tired. So Aaron and Hur, two of Moses' buddies, found a big rock for him to sit on. And they held up his hands so he'd keep on praying. Would you hold my hand up to show what it looks like? Yeah. So when my arm gets tired praying, you're holding it up. And that's what happened. So Aaron and Hur, whoa, going high to heaven, high, hello. And they found a big rock for him. They held his hands up. He could keep praying without getting tired. That did the trick. For after a while, the Amalekites saw they were getting licked. And that doesn't mean with your tongue. That means they were getting beat up, right? Yeah. And they turned and ran for the hills. These Amalekites were a mean bunch. And we'll hear more about them later. But for the time being, they had learned their lesson. And they let the Jews alone for a good long while. Well, this has been fun today. Yeah, we always have fun every week when we get together to do this. And next week, oh my goodness, next week we're going to talk about something that has the number 10 attached to it. 10. And I'm going to let people think about it. It's going to be the book of Exodus. You know, don't you?
Yeah, I can see.
You can see it, but you already know what they are, right? You do. And I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you something right now. This is a little bit of a trick for the people. It's because these 10 things are going to be on 2 things called tablets. And I want to tell you right now, you need to take 2 tablets daily. You'll find out. Happy 4th of July from Bishop and Betty, and we love you. Betty, I love you.